I've got a Black Templars army, and in it are 6 Space Marine Eradicators, which are really great models, but I decided I didn't want to have more of them, so they were never going to make it into my Dark Angels army. However, they are a really useful unit and would be a great tool. So you can imagine my delight when the Lion came out, and the Inner Circle Companions became a thing, and I finally had the inspiration to create these. Yes, what you see before you are 3 conversions for an entire squad of Dreadwing Eradicators, with the Lion returning and with the Inner Circle Companions and the Risen kind of coming to the surface and starting to play a role in the game. I thought that it would be a fantastic excuse to just go absolutely crazy with Dreadwing, Dark Age of Technology wielding Risen for my Dark Angels army, and so the idea was born. Having read the Lion's Primarch book and knowing a couple of details about the Dreadwing from the time of the Great Crusade, I was inspired by a section of the book where one of the main characters has to go into a secret Dreadwing vault and choose a selection of weapons to go and mess up some aliens with. And the idea of taking some of these very esoteric and probably illegal weapons from the armory and putting them in the hands of Risen Space Marines who would know how to use those weapons, and then throwing them in some modern Gravis armor and painting them in the Inner Circle Companion scheme just scratched a part of my brain that I was absolutely desperate to scratch. And so these 3 beautiful boys were in fact born. Now, I won't show the entire process for this build because doing that for just 1 model is a lot of work. So doing it for 3 is 3 a lot of work, actually. But I can tell you how I put together each Marine and then tell you about the bits that I used for each unique weapon. So I started with a box of 3 Primaris Eradicators. I chopped the chests off the model above the belt and then otherwise assembled the torso as normal. I then took 3 tabards from the old Deathwing Knight set. I matched each body with a tabard that fitted the feeling of how that model was going to be moving. I started filing and shaving away plastic until they more or less fit together. Once it was close, I glued the tabards into place. And when I tell you that it was not a snug fit, it really was not a snug fit. Each torso had gaps in the joins that were anywhere between 1 or 3 millimeters wide. So to solve this issue, I made really good use of some big leather pouches, which I think are mostly from the Heavy Intercessors box set, and you will see as the models spin around that there are big leather pouches on everyone's hips that just conceal those gaps. The heads came from the new Deathwing Knight box set. They are all hooded helms with respirators. And then at this stage, it was all about the arms and the weapons. So the first one that I actually constructed is the one that you can see me working on in the background of this video. I knew that I wanted to use a Necron's Immortal Tesla carbine as the basis for this weapon. I chopped a few things off to make it look a little less Necronsy, so the Tesla cell or whatever it is that hangs off the bottom of the gun and the actual handle that the Immortals would carry. I chopped the Immortal's hand out of the handle on top and managed to fit it to a nice Gravis arm with a robot hand. I stole a regular bolt pistol handle and put that on the back, took a large plasma cell, I think from a Dreadnought plasma cannon, and then I absolutely went to town putting parts of Contemptor Dreadnoughts all over the rest of it to make it kind of look a little bit janky and conceal some of the Necron. The whole thing is hooked up to the backpack using some Hellblaster piping, and this gun really does make absolutely 0 sense. It's got a melter pack feeding this tube, but it also has plasma coils glowing. But looking at the muzzle, you would think it was some kind of gamma radiation emitter or a laser of some kind. It literally makes no sense, but that's kind of the fun of making up your own weapons and just going to town kit bashing things with whatever you have. I don't need this to make sense, because if someone asks me how it works, I'll just say, it's Dark Age of Technology gear. How do you expect me to know how it works? Moving on to the second Eradicator, this guy was a lot more straightforward. I decided to essentially build him with the multi-melter loadout. It's the same arms, it's the same backpack, it's the same gun. However, you can see that I've chopped off a good section of the multi-melter at the front to change the shape. The pipe that hangs from the bottom is gone, and I've instead fixed it with this barrel, which is improvised from, again, random bits from the Contemptor box. And then I sanded the front face of the multi-melter flat a little bit and shoved this weird glowing pipe thing onto it to just obscure the kind of shape and the meltiness of the multi-melter. The final guy was somewhere between the two in terms of how complicated it was. So you can see his left arm is the inner circle arm holding the sensor with all the smoke coming out of it. And his right arm is a Gravis arm, which I then cut just above the elbow and fitted with the new Terminator assault cannon. The barrel is from the Contemptor Dreadnought auto cannon, with a melter rifle muzzle fitted to the end of it. The long piece along the bottom of the auto cannon barrel is again from the Contemptor Dreadnought kit. I don't know exactly what it is, but it gives the weapon a bit more shape and it changes the silhouette so it doesn't look as much like an assault cannon or an auto cannon. It kind of becomes its own thing. And then I've fitted a melter pack just in front of the ammo pack from the assault cannon. My head cannon for this is that it kind of fires individual shells, which are absolutely splattered with fuel from the melter rifle fuel canister, and then launched down the barrel at speed to kind of create almost a projectile melter shell firing weapon. And that's the trio. This was a really fun project to work on because I got to kind of create my own headcanon for these models. And whilst I've kitbashed plenty of models on the channel before, I've always given them weapons that exist in the lore and I don't have to really do anything with. Kitbashing the individual weapons on this scale allows for a lot of experimentation and some really wacky outcomes. So this was great. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video because I had a lot of fun making it. If you've got a second, please do like the video because it does help the channel out quite a lot. And if you've got any questions, throw them in the comments. I do love chatting to you guys down there every time I upload. Thank you all again and have a great week.